What's up, guys? T-Boy here, and it's finally here. College football is back. Well, not back just yet, and which today is Sunday, the 17th. That means we have 6 more long days of grueling and, waiting and anticipating college football. But today I'm going to be predicting week 0. Now, let's just be real here. There's not too many great games. And in fact, there's probably only one good matchup. Iowa State and Kansas State. We'll talk about that towards the end of the video. But, it's college football's back. You can't complain. Week 0 is always like this, in which it has maybe 1 or 2 good games and then the rest of filler. But this year, I think there's a couple decent matchups we can definitely talk about. Without further ado, let's get into our picks. And as you can see, I have all of my predictions, all but one game here. We're going to kind of go rapid fire, in which, some of these games potentially could be good, but in my opinion, not so sure, especially this Idaho State UNLV game. UNLV is, I believe, a 25.5-point favorite. Maybe it's down to 24.5. Maybe it's up to 25 or 26.5. And listen, with how good UNLV is expected to be, they're expected to be a top 5 Group of 5 team. They're also some people's pick to make it to the college football playoff as that Group of 5 representative. You got to win this game big, and you should. Not gotta. You should win this game big. That's a key word there. And with Dan Mullen, year 1, Alex Orji, I believe, is going to be the QB. If not, the Virginia transfer is a very solid candidate as well. I believe that's a quarterback battle. And their offensive talent is just way better than Idaho State's. Idaho State's an FCS school. I believe they're going to be decent. Some people say their offense is going to be pretty solid, so maybe 13 points is not enough. But yeah, I definitely think UNLV is going to win this game. They'll cover, and I think the over-under I wouldn't touch. It's at 63.5. Next up, Western Kentucky and Sam Houston. I'm going to go quick with this one too. Western Kentucky also adds in a transfer quarterback, Maverick McIver, who I think he threw for a lot of yards at Abilene Christian for FCS, and then he was a backup for Texas Tech. This guy has a lot of potential too. Western Kentucky always seems to be able to throw the football around. Doesn't matter who their quarterback is. We'll see if their defense is any good. And then Sam Houston, welcome to the FBS. In terms of, you're going to have roster turnover, you're going to have coaching turnover. Your administration is going to have to find some stability here. Okay, if you want to be a decent FBS Group of 5 program. That being said, I think Western Kentucky wins this game. They're a 9.5-point favorite. I think the over-under is at, I think it's at 60.5, something like that, 59.5, 60.5. I would actually, I guess I'm pushing it here, but I would, again, I'm being a little bit too leeway here with the score. I'm not sold on Sam Houston. I think they'll be lucky to win 4 games, even though last year, I believe they won 3 games, and they could have made it to a bowl game if they had some better coaching decisions at the end of those games. But I think Western Kentucky is just that much better than Sam Houston. And the Conference USA seems to be placing these week 0 games for kind of no reason, honestly. And I think Western Kentucky lost last year. But this year, I think they get it done. And then this one might surprise some people, but I have Kansas 41-17 over Fresno State. Fresno State with a brand new coaching staff from Entz. I believe he was from North Dakota State. They lost their quarterback to Michigan, who looks to be a backup behind Bryce Underwood, but I digress there. And if you've been watching Fresno State's football program, since Kalen DeBoer, it's been on the decline. That's why they have a new coaching staff from last year to this year. Matt Entz, like I said, from North Dakota State. So I'm not too high on Fresno State. Now, if you want some green areas, they didn't lose that much in the transfer portal. They do add E.J. Warner, quarterback from, I believe, Temple, who just wasn't that good, but he wasn't terrible. So maybe he can fit in this scheme a little bit better. But it's Kansas, man. I am so incredibly high on Kansas this season. I think Kansas can be a legitimate Big 12 champion team this year. They got depleted by transfer portal, but they bring back a couple on that offensive line, even though their offensive line was terrible last year, in which I believe they had the least amount of screen passes in college football. Kind of a weird stat there. or they were bottom 5 in screen passes simply because of how bad that offensive line was. They were one of the worst teams in protecting the quarterback. They bring back some guys on that offensive line. They got a couple pieces from the transfer portal, and then obviously the big one, Jalen Daniels. So I think their offense is going to be really, really good. Defensively, they're going to have to replace a lot from that great defensive back core. A couple off-conference players, including Kobe Bryant, obviously gone in the NFL, but I'm not sold on Fresno State. I'm not high on Fresno State this year. I'm not saying they're going to be a terrible team, but I don't think they are who they were when Kalen DeBoer was the head coach. And I am so high on Kansas. And then look at the over-under on this game. It's at 49.5. I think that's kind of disrespecting both these teams. Spread is 12.5. It's a weird spread to take. Maybe this game ends up being like SMU Nevada was last year, in which SMU was clearly the better team. Nevada just found themselves to be in the game. Maybe that does happen, but I'm just so high on Kansas, in which I think they control this game from start to finish. They have Hawaii and Stanford. This is another weird line here in which Hawaii is a 1.5-point favorite. Over-under is at 52.5, so maybe we could see some scoring from both sides, but in terms of, that's about average, I think, for college football, around 52.5 to 54.5. I believe that's the average. Anything lower is obviously below average. Anything higher is obviously above average, but for scoring. But I just like, if you look at both these teams are both on the completely opposite side of the totem pole, Hawaii and Timmy Chang. Listen, they won 5 games last year, but they had 5 total wins a year prior. 3 seasons prior. 5 total wins in 3 seasons, just absolutely terrible. And then Timmy Chang comes in and they find themselves, they run a variation of the spread. Their offense is going to be pretty good. And then Stanford, losing their head coach. Now Frank Reich, former Carolina Panther head coach. I have little bad memories of that, but comes in as the interim head coach, and Stanford's just going to try to tread water this year. They just got destroyed on the transfer portal. I'm trying to find some green areas for Stanford, and I just can't think of it. Maybe their defense, although again destroyed at almost all phases of the football. I got to take Hawaii here. Hawaii usually performs pretty well, though, in these week 0 games. I think there's something like 5-1 against the spread. In week 0, they had that huge win a couple of years ago, 2019, against Arizona. Cole McDonald threw 4 interceptions, but they had to throw in a backup freshman QB and Chevin Cordero to win them that game, which is just crazy to even say, with Arizona having Khalil Tate. And then a couple years ago, they almost beat Vandy. I know Vandy isn't any good, but they covered that spread. So 5-1 against the spread, I do believe, maybe 4-1, maybe even 4-0. I can't remember if they covered last year. Last year's spread was ridiculous, but they are usually pretty good in week 0. Doesn't even matter who the head coach is, it seems. I'm going to take Hawaii here and the points. And then the game everyone is talking about, Iowa State, Kansas State. This game's in Dublin, Ireland. Kansas State's a 3.5-point favorite. The over-under, I believe, is at 49.5. Vegas money line odds. So this is the percentage. They have Iowa State at 63% as of right now, as of Sunday. That means 63% of bettors have already put money line and spread on Iowa State. So, money line was 63%. I believe spread was 62%. So basically around the same. The odds are telling you to take Iowa State here. And listen, both of these teams bring back a lot from last year, both starting quarterbacks, both starting running backs. Well, DJ Giddens actually on to the NFL for Kansas State, but still they bring back Dalen Edwards, who's going to be a monster this year. And then on the alternative side for Iowa State, Chase Hansen and Abu Suma are 2 really good running backs, so that 1-2 duo is going to be pretty good. And defensively, these are probably 2 of the 5 best defensive teams in the Big 12. So overall, I could see this game going either way. I'm much more higher on Kansas State, and if they're going to be the team that they want to beat, this is a game they have to win. And for Iowa State, if they want to be a Big 12 title winning team this year, not just contender, but winning, in which they get there and win, this is another game they're going to have to win. This is such a big game, and unfortunately, it's week 0. And I'm not really a big fan of conference games week 0 or even week 1. I think teams have to figure themselves out. I know both these teams bring back a lot from last year and probably already have identities set in which they should. But at the same time, this is a neutral site game. This is always a game in which it's played towards the end of the season as well. So it's kind of weird having this week 0, but this is college football for you. And I actually think Kansas State is going to find a way to win this game. In terms of the end of this game, they're going to find a way to win this game. I think both these teams are pretty evenly matched, but I'm much more higher in Kansas State. And Kansas State, as a football program, they have to win this game, in my total opinion here. With Avery Johnson coming in as his second full season as a starter, he's been in the system now for 3 years. He hasn't been as good as what they've said he was going to be. And listen, I think Iowa State's going to be a solid team. I don't think they're going to be as good as what they were last year, especially record-wise. I think the schedule's a little bit tougher. But for Kansas State, they're always an 8 or 9 win team. If you want to break that barrier, you got to win some of these games. And I think they're going to find a way to do it here in Dublin. Anyway, guys, here are my week 0 predictions for the college football season. Let me know what you guys think. I know this was probably a little bit longer than I anticipated, but it is what it is. I love college football. I know a little bit about each of these teams coming into this season. So let me know what you guys think, and thank you guys for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out. Congratulations, guys. College football is finally back.